We're back in the Sunshine State for race number 3 of the season, our first road course race of the year. Hi, Hardy, hi, hello, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Pensacola International Speedway for race number 3 of the 2020 season, the 2026 season of the Fuel Grand National Series, season number 8, the Thrustmaster 160K, presented by the Fuel Racing League. And it is glad to have everybody aboard here for today's broadcast as we get underway for the final little bit of qualifying and final little bit of practice here for 24 laps going on the board. And my name is Trey, right here for the North American Sim Racing Network. Caleb Rose has the night off. He will be back in the saddle all more than likely for next week's race at the Hanford Motor Speedway. But here for this afternoon with a practice just wrapping up here in the next minute or so. 14 cars right now ready to rocket around this over 4-mile road course here in the great Sunshine State of Florida. Our second race at a super speedway in Florida, although this super speedway is mostly the road course Roval layout. So right now, no surprise to see RJ Bishop as he goes up into the fencing. Not quite out of the ballpark like we saw Vincenzo Focasato do 1 week ago, but he currently tops the charts in practice as of right now. Well, there's a fun sight there, Kenny Campos, stuck in the wall. But taking a look at the race analysis for this evening, 24 laps going on the board. At this 4.19 mile, a 4.2 banked Roval, 18 turns here at the Pensacola International Speedway, and the pit road speed 70 miles an hour. Expect about a half a second to a second of tire fall off. That was his fuel numbers. Those are going to be the $1 million question for all these drivers here this evening. About 10 to 12 laps. With this being a 24-lap event, we're likely going to see these guys make 2 pit stops, one of them coming within that point of no return with 5 laps to go. You get a good look at the track itself, with how fantastic this facility looks. All 18 turns here at this normal 2.5-mile super speedway behemoth down on the Florida Panhandle. Like we said, it's going to be a fun one here. So go ahead and get that change. A couple of things on OBS messing up at the last second as we got about a minute left here in practice before we'll get things into qualifying. There is Apollo Hyde, the current points leader, pulling a Tyler Reddick by winning the first 2 races of the season. Both of them on quasi-super speedways, one of them at Atlanta and the other one, well, one of them at Under Armour to start the season and the other one coming at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And what was, suffice it to say, a very chaotic race at AMS, and a couple of other storylines coming out of that race we'll get into later on. But the defending winner of the Thrustmaster 160K, driving that number 97 machine, Emi Schizzato, along with Rafaela Sorensen making their season debuts here at the Pensacola Roval. Tyler Stallhood back in that 7 Subaru machine, now sponsored by RCA, so running a little bit modern-day John Andretti throwback as he's going to burn it down in the bus stop. Ike Durbin, Drew Fast, and the other drivers drive in their historical liveries. 2 drivers reusing some throwback schemes from last week, with Crystal Bennett and Rich Roy driving their throwback automobiles from 1 week ago at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. But getting a look at the entry list, RJ Bishop, Apollo Hyde, Tyler Stallhood, Emi Schizzato, Drew Fast, Vincenzo Focasato, Rafaela Sorensen, Crystal Bennett, Ike Durbin, Blake Warren, Rich Roy, Trek Togger, Kenny Campos, and Corbin Wentz. So we go into qualifying. There are your leaders in practice with R.J. Bishop, top of the board, the only driver that was able to put down a sub 141.5. Was 25 hundredths of a second below Apollo Hyde. In fact, a full hundredth of a second. Or a full thousandth of a second. Or, yeah, about a full tenth of a second faster than Apollo Hyde, 101. 101 thousandths of a second, I should say. RJ Bishop was faster over Apollo Hyde. But again, 24 laps going on the board, and we'll see what these guys are able to do here in qualifying, which will be for the next 7 or so minutes qualifying. It's a long one. It's a doozy here at this road course, and it takes a lot of guys for time for guys to try to get in on their outlap. You know what? With 14 drivers, we might have enough. I don't know if we're going to have enough time to make an actual starting lineup graphic. But you know what? We do got we are burning daylight. We got 6:40 to go. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go ahead and take a brief timeout. We're gonna try and get that graphic going here as fast as we can. But of course, race number 3 of the season, and it's been a very eventful season so far, to say the very least. With Apollo Hyde winning both races. And she definitely had to earn that last week. And a duel right down to the final lap with Don Laprade. Laprade, interestingly enough, not on the grid here this evening. But we'll expect to see him back on the grid next week at the Hanford Motor Speedway, of course. So we hope Nicky Conti will also be in that race as well. Here we go, as we're trying to make a quick starting lineup graphic. You know, we like doing things here on the fly. So got about 5 minutes to go in qualifying. We should be able to make quick work here of a potential DZ graphic. The only question is if we'll be able to display it and get it transparent in time. But right now for qualifying, nobody has put down a lap just yet, but I believe RJ Bishop will likely be the pole sitter. But of course, we appreciate everybody tuning into all of our broadcasts, as last week was our first ever our most viewed live stream or live broadcast here in, for last week's Prime Star 500. Of course, there was certainly a lot to go into that race, a lot of storylines. Like we said, the whole situation with Ben Snyder and the fallout from that. But overall, it's been a good one, as Apollo Hyde is going to jump to the top of the boards in qualifying on, I believe that's going to be her only lap. Hyde, Bishop, Stallhood, Schizzato, and Roy will jump up. As Drew Fast has now jumped to the top end of the boards in qualifying with a 141, a 0.2 of a second faster qualifying lap than everybody else, so that'll push everybody else down. So a great flyer of a lap there from the number 4 of Drew Fast. We got the rest of the graphic going here. But again, we've got such a great season in store for all of you guys on here, and we really appreciate everybody tuning in. Like we said, our most viewed race last weekend, absolutely smashing all the records that we like to set here. As qualifying just about to wrap up in the next 144. A couple of drivers will elect to stay out of qualifying, which is all fine and dandy for those drivers. And you know what, until we get to the end of qualifying and figure out who the pole sitter is, we're going to go ahead, take a quick time out for the next 90 seconds here so we get ready for qualifying in the race for race number 3 of the season, the Thrustmaster 160K presented by the Fuel Racing League. And we are back here as we're into happy hour for the next 5 or so minutes. As of course, we get that all fixed up on our ticker here for the next 5 or so minutes as everybody will put some times down in happy hour. But we're going to go ahead, and once we get this lineup all figured out here in just a jiffy, we'll display the starting lineup, which we should be good to go on that front. We'll go ahead and see if that will work. A little bit too big for our liking. We'll see if we can shrink that down. No, it's the wrong thing that we're trying to have shrunk down. There we go. So once we get that all affixed into here, we should be ready to rock and roll. But of course, You can see the current lineup on your screen. And as Drew Fast wins the pole position here. Should be good to go there. The JRI Shocks starting lineup. Drew Fast, Apollo Hyde, RJ Bishop, Tyler Stallhood, Emmy Schizzato, Rich Roy, Ike Durbin, Vincenzo Focasato, Trek Togger, and Kenny Campos, your top 10, with Rafaela Sorensen, Blake Warren, Corbin Wentz, and Crystal Bennett failing to put down times. There is your pole sitter for tonight's 24-lap event, 160 kilometers. One no return, exactly lap number 20 with 5 laps to go. And of course, like we always say, it's a fun one, especially on these open setup road courses. You never know who's going to come from where, but Drew Fast, he's looking dominant, but my personal picks for this race, you gotta go with the 100 and the 48 of Apollo Hyde and RJ Bishop, respectively. Of course, we know what Bishop has been able to accomplish on the road courses, and Apollo Hyde, especially in these open setup road course races, has been phenomenal in that number 100 machine, sporting a new livery on that Subaru. We'll go ahead and get a couple other things situated, such as our free cam. Go ahead and take you for a lap around here. As you can see, just the sheer banking on some of the corners here, especially in that hairpin, 15 degrees of banking in said hairpin. But it's gonna be a blast. It always is. For all these races, we got about a minute to go in happy hour before we'll line them up and grid them up, turn them on the back straightaway. As Rich Roy comes down the pit lane as well, same thing with Apollo Hyde. She'll actually stay out for an additional lap. And they're the two Warren Wentz racing cars on the grid. Actually, 2/3 of the Warren Wentz racing trio with RJ Bishop. See somewhere out on the track. There he is in that Wrangler Menards number 48 machine. So Apollo Hyde right now top of the charts in happy hour, with Hyde and Schizzato the only two drivers that have put down times here, as we've got about 9 seconds to go. Don't know if we're going to get any bonus time in happy hour, which we historically do. We'll probably get one more minute here in happy hour before we get things going. Just making sure everybody can come back around, put their cars back onto the pit lane, trying to finish up their times. We'll get 1:31 a bonus time here in happy hour before we get things underway for tonight's race. And we'll get another look at the track itself. All 18 turns of its glory here at the Pensacola Roval. But like we were talking about in the pre-race show, that pit strategy is going to play a very large factor into this race. And of course, cautions are turned on. Multi-car cautions are turned on until lap number 20. And we saw when this was a clash race here over the summer that right off of the start, when these guys are double file, going into this opening set of corners is going to be a little bit of issue for these drivers, as we see Bishop and Focasato go upside down, and those are some heavily damaged automobiles. Hopefully we don't see Focasato end up in the grandstands once again. But if we do, oh, God help the fans that are in the splash zone a little bit there, as Kenny Campos pulling his 71 car back around over in the bus stop. But there is Drew Fast sitting on that pole position in that KSDT Chevrolet Camaro. And we will go to the race here in just a couple moments' time. Looks like we're going to get probably 30 more seconds of bonus time left in here in happy hour to get things all underway. It's only going to be about 30 seconds of bonus time. But as Drew Fast will lead the field at the green flag, we'll go ahead and head downstairs for pre-race ceremonies and the command to start the engines for tonight's 34-lap race here, or 24-lap race here at the Pensacola International Speedway.
Drivers, to your cars.
Drivers, start your engines!
And the engines roar to life on the back straightaway here at Pensacola as we get ready to rock and roll for tonight's 24-lap race. Getting another look at your starting lineup here for tonight with Drew Fast leading the field of the green flag. Paulo Hyde, RJ Bishop, and Tyler Stallhood. With Hyde rounding out row number 1, RJ Bishop and Tyler Stallhood in row number 2. With Emi Schizzato and Rich Roy populating row number 3. As we get set here to go road racing for the opening time this season, one of 3 road courses on the calendar, if I'm not mistaken. 14 cars all lining up with one another, 7 rows double file, going around the 30 degrees of banking here at Pensacola and ready to do battle for 160 kilometers for race number 3 of the season. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a fun one. It always is here on the Fuel Road courses, as the Chevy Camaro pace car will duck down onto the pit lane. Drew Fast won the pole position. He and Apollo High will lead this field of 14 strong through the restart zone. Green flag is in the air, and the Thrustmaster 160K is underway. And this opening set of corners is going to be troublesome for a couple of these drivers. Everybody will remain straight through turn number 1 as we head into the infield. A little bit wide through the corner goes Rich Roy. He's able to gather up that 29 Kodak machine, and Drew Fast remaining out front. RJ Bishop dropping underneath, and here comes Schizzato looking to take that 3rd spot away. Heading into the bus stop for the opening time, Fast, Hyde, and Schizzato, your top 3 going in through the bus stop. A little bit wide goes the 48. He's able to just barely hold on to it in that 48 Menards machine. And Hyde trying to jump up to the back bumper as these guys will jump onto the brakes going down into the downhill section, the lowest part of the course. Fast with a good jump in the 4. Down the back straightaway part of the infield road course and off towards the 15-degree hairpin corner. 3 cars breaking away from one another. Corbin Wentz a little bit far behind to start things off, and here comes Hyde down to the inside of the 4. Not quite able to get around Fast. Schizzato putting that 100 machine under fire. Now a very, very calm start for the most part with Corbin Wentz bringing up the rear in that Geico 88 machine. As back onto the oval we go, and a really textbook opening lap so far out of Drew Fast and Apollo Hyde. Not entirely sure what happened to RJ Bishop. It really got started when he got a little bit mucked up going through the bus stop. But he will fall back into 4th, and Tyler Stallhood will round out the top 5. Fast looking to break the draft onto Hyde, looking to drag him back a little bit here as we're on to lap number 2. And Hyde trying to jump to the inside, not able to quite get a ledge to the inside of that 4 Camaro. She might have an edge. Oh, nearly spins out that 100 machine. Going down to the inside, and again, there's only 24 laps going on the board, so these drivers need to make these spots, they need to make these passes here and now. Fast running a 1:46.27 time, and we got 1 car off track, and it's like Durbin spins around in the interloop. He's off and running in the bus stop, and tough break for Durbin, who was running in the 6th spot. He will go back and join Trek Togger and Blake Warren back in the Boondocks, along with Kenny Campos as well. So that is a tough break for that number 86 machine, as we've missed a pass for the race lead. It's not a race on the NESRN without us missing a pass for the race lead, as Apollo Hyde has gotten around Drew Fast, and Hyde looking to check out here for the remainder of this race, but only one incident so far, no multi-car incidences. We remain under the green flag conditions. Crystal Bennett, heavy damage in the 84. That was back with the 09, I believe. It's Rafaela Sorensen and Crystal Bennett. I believe they may have gotten a little bit dusted up, but we remain green all the same, and it's 2 cars breaking away from one another. Hyde and Fast, nose to tail, and you got Bishop getting around Schizzato, as we got a little bit of tandem drafting here as we've completed lap number 2 and on to the 3rd lap of the race. 3 for Dale, who will not be silent. As Fast, he's going to do some agricultural work going through the opening set of corners. Same thing with Stallhood, who's got to manhandle that Subaru around the opening set of turns. So that's going to allow Apollo Hyde to have a little bit of space to try to operate. Fast, oh, he's going to get turned, and same thing with the 48. RJ Bishop and Drew Fast both going around in the inner loop, and is that enough for a multi? It is not. So Bishop having to re-grab a gear. Emmy Schizzato, I believe she also blew through that corner. And now we got a good 3-wide battle for 3rd back in here. For 4th, I should say, as the pole sitter and one of the defending winner of this race, as well as the dominant driver from this race a couple of months ago, RJ Bishop, all having an issue in the inner loop. And I'm very surprised that wasn't a multi-car caution. I believe that was just a little bit of incidental contact. That is such a tough break for these guys, especially if we do not get a caution flag soon. With how spread out we are, I'm not sure if we're going to, as Blake Warren and Kenny Campos playing some bumper cars getting back onto the oval. But other than those two, that's the closest battle on track that we've got right now. It is very spread out. And this is where we're going to start to see this strategy racing that we projected earlier on in the night. As Hyde has gone around through the corners in the 100. It's a tough break for Rafaela Sorensen, or rather Crystal Bennett, who will go a lap down. And Emmy Schizzato currently being displayed a black flag for cutting the course, I believe. We'll see if Schizzato will have to come down the pit lane this next time by, I believe, and that would certainly be a tough break for that number 97 team. Bishop trying to get back in the dance as Rafaela Sorensen is to his outside, and up the track and into the wall goes the 09. Sorensen struggling a little bit on this earlier run, qualified midway through the field. And it got up to 4th as of recently, but now will fall down to 6th as Drew Fast will also get around that target machine as well. Bishop now back inside the top 5, and now a good battle for 2nd Bruin between Vincenzo Focusato and Tyler Stallett as we come around to complete lap number 4, but it's been Apollo Hyde who has led 3 out of the 4 laps so far in this race. Drew Fast was able to get a single lap lead before he fell back in car number 4. Bishop back inside the top 5, like we said. In fact, both of those drivers back inside the top 5, and they would love for a caution to come out here so these guys can potentially get re-racked and ready to get back going here in this battle. But everybody currently trying to chase down that 100 of Apollo Hyde, who is just goosing the throttle right now. You can see the gap between Hyde and Stallhood was 5 seconds that last time by, And Hyde is certainly not looking back whatsoever, as now Stallhood has been passed by Vincenzo Focasato, and we now got 5 cars all in line with one another. In fact, we got 6 cars from Focasato all the way back to Emi Schizzato, who right now is on the fringes of this pack up in here. 3 cars in the first half, and a little bit of a gap between RJ Bishop and Drew Fast. But Bishop, who started midway, or rather he started on the outside of row number 4, and Drew Fast has gone around in the hairpin. Rafaela Sorensen able to get around. In fact, both Dodge teammates able to get around the 4. And a bad start to the race, getting exponentially worse as Drew Fast thought he had a little bit of his momentum and track position recaught after spinning through the bus stop. And that's certainly not what you want for that 4 Camaro team, as he's got a lot of rear end damage on that Camaro. And we'll see how much that will affect his race car. As Stahl has got to run. He'll go to the outside of Focasato. That's going to open up the door for Bishop. And I think Stallhood was just giving way to the much faster 48 as RJ Bishop all the way back into spot number 3. He might take second here as Focasato a little bit offline. Those two side by side, wheel to wheel, heading towards the F1 starting area of the track as they will move underneath the bridge, and Bishop will take that second spot away from the 37. We heard somebody skirting around. It may have been the 88 of Corbin Wentz. We had some sort of scrubbing issue, and we do realize that we're having some frame rate difficulties. Of course, the internet after this most recent snowstorm has not been fairly kind to the central Jersey area. While dropping a handful of frames here and there as we heard some tires squeal, but hear that 97, that 09 also just trying to put the pedal down. Sorensen and Schizzato, a Dodge and a Ford, as Schizzato now running a Ford this season instead of the Dodge. Those two significant others, and they're trying to work together to try to get back up into this battle as we approach lap number 7 of the race. And well, leading 5 out of the 6 laps so far has been Apollo Hyde, and it's been an eventful one to start things off. No cautions just yet, as Fast will fall back down to 7th. Rich Roy, Trek Togger, and Ike Durbin just running their races, and Ike hasn't really been able to recover from that spin in the bus stop on lap number 3. But he still remains just inside the top 10 right now. Actually, he's 1 lap down. He had to come down the pit lane for to try to put on 4 fresh Goodyear tires. So Durbin right now 13th, the only car aside from Crystal Bennett off of the lead lap, as Bennett and Kenny Campos having an issue as well. Actually, that's what it was for Ike Durbin. He actually fell out of the server. And Kenny Campos, he's got some heavy, significant damage in that 71 machine. That's not what you want for him. Bishop and Stallhood now have caught up a little bit to Apollo Hyde. They're only 3.3 seconds back of that 100 that last time by. So Hyde trying to go into fuel conservation mode a little bit, and that's bringing these top 2 back into this fray. Focasato was falling back into 4th. Of course, something to miss on that 71 machine, as Crystal Bennett has retired from the race in a tough break for that 84 crew. We'll finish 14th and last on the evening, as we're over a third of the way through this race already, and we're starting to see that tandem drafting, helping one another, as the 48 and the 7 now go side by side going into turn number 1, and RJ slamming on the brakes going into 1. Looking for the crossover on Stallhood. Nearly trucked up the track just a little bit. Stallhood will retain that position, But now those guys only a second and a half behind Apollo Hyde. So I do think that Hyde is fuel saving to try to maybe make this into a one-stop race. Again, we're probably going to end up seeing about 10 or 12 laps here. So again, if Hyde is able to stretch to 13 laps, as Stallhood trying to go the long way around the 100, not quite able to get there in time. But again, if Hyde would be able to stretch it to 13 laps, that's going to be a very big accomplishment out of that 100 machine. And of course, we obviously know how talented of a driver that Apollo Hyde is. Trying to give 100% in that 100% orange juice machine, but Stallhood has caught up to the race leader, who's on fuel conservation mode. And now the caution flag has come out, as some drivers have gone around. I do not believe that that is for Kenny Campos. Caution number 1 will wave, as that's why Hyde was allowing the 7 car to get back around. As Tyler Stallhood will actually lead them back to the caution flag. And we're under the yellow flag for the opening time this afternoon, as Stallhood will lead it past the 100. I wasn't sure if we're actually racing to the caution flag or not, but Stallhood will lead that lap. And now that we got a moment, I believe Drew Fast is still exactly where he is. I'm not entirely sure where the caution flag originated from. We'll go ahead and take a look at what happened to put us under our first caution flag of the afternoon. It was a multi-car incident, obviously, and we'll see if anybody went around. Nope, there is the culprit for what happened, and yeah, it's not what you want. As Ike Durbin went around in the bus stop once again. And here comes Blake Warren. Try to avoid him, and upside down goes Blake. That's about as crystal clear of a multi as you will get. And that's a tough break for both those drivers who are just trying to lie around a little bit in the back of the pack. And we'll get another look at this from Blake Warren's perspective, as he's just trying to drive along a little bit. And you see this 86 right in the middle of the road is trying to drive around. That's just a racing deal. That was wrong place, wrong time for both of those drivers. I don't really think there was any ill will intended for those guys. But we are going to see these guys come down the pit lane, and this is going to be an interesting pit lap. With 16 to go. I expect everybody to come down the pit lane, because again, why wouldn't you come down the pit lane? It gives everybody a free chance to go into the pit area, put on some 4 fresh tires, as, you know, the pace hadn't really held up a lot. You know, we're only about maybe a second off of the pace, I would gauge. But right now, it's Tyler Stallhood, Apollo Hyde, and RJ Bishop will lead this field into the pit area, and after these guys come off of the pit area, we'll review a couple of the different other accidents. I believe we had 3 other incidences that occurred. Whatever happened with Kenny Campos and Crystal Bennett, of course, we'll review what happened with Fast, Schizzato, and Bishop all going around in the bus stop initially. But here we go, cars on pit lane for the opening time this afternoon. We'll focus along with Apollo Hyde and see what she will do on the opening pit stop of this race. And with 16 laps to go, Kenny Campos is going to take the wave around, as he's not on the lead lap. Hyde will go into her pit stall. I imagine 4 fresh tires for pretty much everybody. We'll See what these guys are able to do. These guys and gals are able to do on the pit lane. Hyde taking 4 fresh Goodyear tires, filling that gas tank full of Sunoco race fuel. Trying to fill up that gas tank as much as possible, and Hyde first one off of the jack, and RJ Bishop beat her off the pit lane. I think he did. Ooh, he nearly wrecked it coming off of the pits. So RJ Bishop looking for the spin and win in that 48 will lead the field back to the green flag. But before we get to the green flag, we'll take a look at a couple of different incidences from this race so far. Starting off with Crystal Bennett, whatever happened to that Valvoline number 84 machine. And we'll take a look in real time what happened as we'll get this race restarted with 14 laps to go. Bennett was driving around through the corner. Oh, just lost it and hard into the safer barrier. Yeah, the car gets very, very light on that downhill section before you get into the hairpin, and that's a very tough break for Crystal Bennett. Nothing that she could do, just trying to hold on as your car unfortunately just gets a little bit junked up there, and that's a tough situation. There's no other way to slice it. We'll take a look and see what happened to all 3 of these guys in the bus stop on lap number 3. And I'm a little bit surprised that this wasn't a multi. Yeah, it was Fast and Bishop both going around, and Schizzato, yeah, she did a full and complete stop, but the game still gave her a black flag, which was cleared off. So that's why the game cleared that black flag off, and then we'll see what happened with Kenny Campos a little bit earlier on, as he may have had a mechanical issue in the 71, or the same situation that happened. Oh, this is this is fairly interesting. Here comes Kenny again. He just gets light through the corner, and that's a weight shift crash. And he's going to barrel roll it and land upside down. That is a single car crash. I didn't think that we would see a weight shift crash here at Pensacola Roval. But hey, you know what? That's not the weirdest thing. We saw Vincenzo Focasato pull Le Mans 55 Sport Ender and then end up with a top 5 finish. You know, Kenny is going to remain a lap down, as Blake Warren, he's retired from the race. An accident in the 12 machine. So that will be an additional storyline to go over, but RJ Bishop will be the control car once these guys go back through the Echo Park restart zone. Green flag, back out of the air. And a good launch on the inside lane for Bishop. Hyde on the outside lane, now under fire from Focasato. And back into the squeeze they go. Stolhood having to tap the brakes a little bit to keep that RCA Subaru from spinning out. Fast going over, and what a crossover move out of Apollo Hyde. Down to the inside of that 48 machine, and Apollo right back out front. Hyde will lead the field going into the bus stop once again. Double file to the bus stop, and around goes Apollo right in front of the rest of the pack, and everybody's going to pile in. Stolhood goes upside down. Cautions breed cautions, and Tyler Stolhood up and over. And that all got started when Apollo Hyde went sideways, turned around, the leader going around to the bus stop when we're under our second caution flag of the day, and everybody trying to drive it like they stole it. I guess I seriously can't tell if we're racing back to the caution flag or not. Historically, we do not, but like we said, cautions breed cautions, and how about this for Emmy Schizzato and Drew Fast? Those two will be first and second Once they will take the caution flag fast on the outside of the 97, and I believe we are racing it back to the caution flag. How about Rich Roy up inside the top 5, taking advantage of some of the chaos, and here we go. A blitzing battle for the win for the race lead back, and Drew Fast, the pole sitter, will win the race back to the caution flag. As Vincenzo Focasato will be 3rd, Rich Roy will be 4th. And Rafaela Sorensen will take that 5th spot away, coming back to the caution. Well, we've had, I forgot, Blake Warren was the initial cause or the reason for that opening caution. So we've had 3 cars go upside down in this event. We've had a weight shift crash and 2, whatever you want to call it, 2 warp crashes. 2 netcode crashes, flips, if you will. It's a little bit wide going through that corner was the 29 or Rich Roy in that Sterling Marlin throwback scheme. The only throwback still out on track is Crystal Bennett has taken that Mark Martin Valvoline scheme to the garage area along with Blake Warren. 12 cars still out on track, 10 of them on the lead lap with Durbin and Kenny Campos. Off of the lead lap, I believe that Kenny Campos, or I believe Durbin should be getting the lucky dog here. So we'll putter around for the next couple of moments or so. We're under our 2nd caution flag of the night here on lap number 13, or lap number 12, I should say. We can officially cue the Bon Jovi in this one next time by, as we'll be halfway home through the Thrustmaster 160K presented by the Fuel Racing League. And, of course, if you would like to join the Fuel Racing League, you don't even have to have any sort of experience. Experience is a little bit preferable, especially for the Grand National Series. But, hey, if you're just looking to have a fun time and a relatively serious but also fantastic community, join the Fuel Racing League or Discord server in the link below. As once we come back around, we'll get 12 laps to go, and Kenny Campos will take the wave around to get himself back onto the lead lap. I believe Ike Durbin will do the same. Actually, no, Durbin is, he's got the lucky dog, so I believe Campos will indeed take the wave around to get back on the lead lap. But here we go. We're going to get right into that danger zone this next time by. Again, we expect these guys to do 10 or 12 laps. I don't know what RJ Bishop is doing. He's doing the jig from hell right now. But once these guys come down the pit lane, that's going to put us at a very, very interesting fuel number, as we might have some drivers staying out. We got Emi Schizzato, Rich Roy, and Rafaela Sorensen. Those 3 are going to stay out. But everybody else besides those 3 are going to come down for what could potentially be the money stop. This time we'll follow along with Drew Fast as he will lead the field down into the pit area for what could be the final time in this race. These guys are going to need blindingly fast pit stops to try to get back out into this battle. And it's just going to be a gas and go for Apollo Hyde, so Hyde is just going to roll the dice with a splash. Only taking 2 tires is the 4, and how about Corbin Wentz? I believe he only took fuel as well in the 88. Tyler Stallhood, RJ Bishop, and a couple of other drivers with a smattering amount of strategy. And now that we've got, we figured out who's going to do what on the pit lane, we'll take a look at what happened to put us under our 2nd caution of the night with the big one, essentially. And it really just all got started right on the restart, going through the bus stop, that notorious little inner loop. As Hyde got a little bit squirrely, hit the rumble strips, actually got a little bit of a tap there from the 48, and it was just a sheer accordion. You see the 7 going upside down. That's not going to hurt Tyler at all. But that was definitely warrantful of a multi, and that's just restarting on cold tires. Certainly not what you want, but we'll get one more look at this before going back to the green flag. And we'll watch that 48, I believe. Yeah, just a little bit of a tap to the rear end, so it was going to be a multi anyway. But, yeah, Tyler Stallhood doing his best lights, motors, action impression in the 7 going upside down. Made that a little bit more dramatic than it needed it to be. But 3 cars staying out with Schizzato, Roy, and Rafaela Sorensen, the 3 cars that will stay out here. Coming around to 11 laps to go will be the restart. And this is going to be, like we said, a very interesting restart. This is going to be a very interesting final 11 laps of this race, as we're only at lap number 13. Again, these pace laps here at the Pensacola Roval, fairly arduous with one another. But Schizzato and Sorensen are going to line up nose to tail on the inside lane, and Rich Roy in that Millennium Autosport Mazda is going to have a hard-charging Apollo Hyde right behind him. First car on new tires is going to be Drew Fast with 2 tires. And, well, we have absolutely jumbled up this pack. How about Corbin Wentz? 2/3 of the surviving Warren Wentz Racing trio as R.J. Bishop, the only one to take 4 tires. He will line up behind Kenny Campos. Ike Durbin will, I believe Durbin will probably remain a lap down if he doesn't have the wave around this next time by already. But Kenny Campos took the wave around. Now Ike Durbin currently the only car, still 1 lap down. It'll be Emi Schizzato, the control car, taking 11 laps to go. As a couple of cars ducking down onto the pit lane, but we will take the green flag. Very interesting strategy as Campos. Bishop was not able to get going, and we're going to see the 37 of Focusato follow the pace car into the pit area. Again, that is a strategy call for Focusato and Campos. They don't feel like they can get enough fuel, so just a splash for both of those guys. Actually, is going to be taking tires as Campos, and around is Rich Roy. Schizzato will remain out as Roy will get that 29 Kodak machine pointed back in the right direction. I like that strategy call for both of those drivers, and here we go into the hairpin. What's going to rely, the strategy call, however, is going to rely that we don't get another caution flag, but it's a bold strategy that's going to put them mighty behind the 8 ball, and of course, we're going to see Hyde in a massive fuel conservation mode. But again, with 11 laps to go, these guys, they're right in their fuel numbers once we get to the white flag. I'm not sure if any of these guys are going to be able to make it besides Apollo Hyde. We know that she is, as much as I hate to use this analogy, she is the Joey Logano of fuel saving. As Sorensen had a moment going up through the hairpin. That's going to be a 3-car battle for 3rd, but right now it's a match race for the top position between Schizzato, the defending winner of this race, and Apollo Hyde, who's looking for 3 wins in a row, trying to bowl a turkey for the opening 3 races of this Grand National Season 8. 10 to go at the line, it will be. And Schizzato holding off that 100 machine as Hyde beginning to fall back a little bit in that Subaru. And is Hyde going to come down the pit lane? No, she was ducking down to towards that double yellow line, but will remain out. Here comes the run. Here comes Stallhood. Wow, what a move there for that RCA Subaru. And that talk about threading the needle there for Tyler Stallhood. He gets the 2-for-1 special going through the narrowest part of the track, and he is up to 2nd. We're typically used to saying nice save for Tyler Stallhood, but what a bonsai 3-wide middle move there for the 7. As he got around both Hyde and Fast in one of the most aggressive Carson Hocevar-esque moves that you'll see. And And how about that for that number 7 machine, a little bit loose off of the corner, going up through the bridge. But that completely shocked everybody there. There's now 4 cars underneath of a blanket for that second spot as Skizato beginning to check out a little bit in the 97. Corbin Wentz has fallen back a little bit as Rich Roy backing up with the his team owner in the 37. Not been the greatest of evenings so far, as actually Ike Durbin up in 7th, so Durbin did in fact take the wave around. So Millennium Autosport looking for at least one of their cars. They got 2 of their cars inside the top 10 with Rich Roy right now on the tail end of that top 10 after spinning on the restart. 9 laps to go, and now Stallhood has got that 97 car in the gun sights. Skizato back down to the low side. Stallhood right now, right behind that 97. Fastest off course. He's into the wall. He's going to spin, and it's right in front of Apollo Hyde. He's right in the middle of the racing surface. Trying to back that car up. You don't want to pull a Ben Snyder from last week. And he's able to get that 4-car refired. But it has been a topsy-turvy afternoon for our pole sitter, who will spin around for the 3rd time today. And this time he nearly got clipped by a couple of different drivers, but that General Electric target number 97 car looking pretty good out front, but Tyler Stallhood only a second back of the 97 that last time by. Stallhood going through the hairpin. Same thing with Skizato, is looking really good out front. Again, you go back to the class race for season 7 at this very track. Skizato got that race win. So go back to a couple other drivers. RJ Bishop did not get the start that he would like. He just did not get going off of the start whatsoever. So if he doesn't get a caution, that's going to be an unfortunate result for him. We got some cars shrieking tire wear wise going through the corner, but Skizato, the gap now probably under a second between Skizato and Stallhood. Stallhood now to the inside of Skizato. We'll see what the gap will be between those 2 drivers. Stallhood a little bit wide through the corner. We go on board with that RCA number 7 car. We'll take you for a lap around Pensacola International Speedway. On board with the boss man of the Fuel Racing League as we go underneath the F1 starting grid. We'll see just how close Stallhood is able to try and gain a little bit of ground on that 97. Was a half second back of that 97 Ford that last time by. We know how accomplished of a road racer that both of these drivers are, and Rafaela Sorensen able to get around Apollo Hyde as well, who's dropped back into that 4th spot on that fuel conservation mode, like we said. And this is this area of the track that's been troublesome for a lot of drivers. Going into this hairpin, a couple of drivers putting on the brakes, but Stallhood very effective as he can be. No surprise that he's got the fastest lap of the race with a 1:41.653 second lap time. He's going for broke right now in that RCA number 7. We look out the back. Actually, we're going to look at the Sky Tokar style. Nothing really out the back. He is beating Rafaela Sorensen, who's right now 3 seconds back of that 7 machine. See the banking as we go back into turn number 4 and heading off towards turn number 1. What would the intervals be this time around? Probably about a half a second once again. Seven laps to go here at the Pensacola International Speedway. This time by, it's down to 36/100ths of a second between the 7 and the 97. This is going to be one heck of a battle for this race lead between a couple of accomplished road course drivers as Skizato up over the rumble strips. Stallhood trying to take advantage, but he just about nearly loses it coming out of that crucial bus stop. Oh, Tyler's got a big run on Emmy, but he's not able to capitalize just yet. Rich Roy down the pit lane. RJ Bishop also falling back a little bit as well, as Roy is going to come down and he is going to try to make sure that he can make it to the end. Because again, we don't know if any of these drivers can make it to the end. I believe Apollo Hyde will be able to make it to the end based on fuel conservation. But right now, I think Vincenzo Focusato right now would be in a very good spot for second, as both he and Kenny Campos came down the pit lane to top off on fuel. But if we get another caution, that's going to just throw the entire record books out of here. But of course, we've got about one more lap until we can get another caution here, because after 5 laps to go is the point of no return. We'll double check that. I believe on the road courses it might be 3 laps to go. Double check here. Point of no return. It's 3 laps to go, so a little bit more time for a caution to come out, but here comes Stallhood trying to dive to the inside. Those two still on top of one another. Stallhood, oh, he might have the inside going through the bus stop, and he'll think better of it. Now looking for the crossover, heading to the next set of corners. He is wheeling that Subaru all the way around the track, just about got Derek's Bentley sideways. Schizzato with a much less sloppier set of corners there from Stallhood had on that last set around. And she's trying to rumble her way up, so the point of no return is in fact 3 laps to go, lap number 22. Always forget about the 3 laps to go rule on the road courses, given how short these caution flags are. I don't think that's going to cost Stallhood a lot of time. Certainly not going to be 0.2 of a second separating those two drivers, but Schizzato able to peel out a little bit further this next time by. It'll probably be about 0.6 of a second separating the 97 from the 7. But again, are these drivers able to make it down into the pit area? Stallhood thought about coming down the pit lane, and Rafaela Sorensen is going to come down the pit lane here. Hyde will stay out. She will take 3rd, and Sorensen, in her season debut, is not willing to take a risk in that 09 and that target machine down the pit lane in that Dodge. We'll see if anybody else will come down the pit lane. We know Focusato is able to make it. Can Drew Fast make it for the final 5, count on 5 laps of the Thrustmaster 160K? And can these top 2 make it is going to be the question. Again, Hyde, you can tell that last time by running a 144, her best a 142, so she's 2 seconds off of her best, so she's only using about maybe 50-60% throttle in that 100 machine. Like we said, the conservation has been paramount for all these drivers. Schizzato now with a little bit more breathing room on that 7 car as they go through the hairpin. Ike Durbin looking for a good recovery after spinning twice in this race so far. He's now up to 4th. And coming back out at the tail end of this pack is going to be Sorensen right behind Drew Fassel. She'll remain in the top 10. I'm surprised RJ Bishop fell as far as he did. Again, it was only just a splash and go for that 09 car. Oh, and here we go. Emmy Schizzato could not make it to the end as Tyler Stallhood will take 4 laps to go. And Schizzato in that 97 machine will surrender the race lead, and now Apollo Hyde up to 2nd. Can Tyler Stallhood make it is going to be the question. And now, You know, is Hyde going to be able to make it? I believe Hyde should be able to pedal out 11 laps of gas. But Stallhood, we'll take a look and see what his numbers are looking like. He's got about 3 laps of gas remaining with 4 to go, so Stallhood is probably not going to be able to make it to the end. It's going to be very close for Apollo High, and I think Ike Durbin he might be able to make it to the end as well. If I'm Stallhood, I'm just coming down the pit lane right here and right now and just putting a splash of fuel in. Trying to see where that 37 car is. Is Focusato right now 29 seconds behind the leader of Stallhood. Stallhood's going to have to come down the pit lane. Durbin's going to have to come down. I believe Trek Togger, who's got a really good run up in here in 5th, he's likely going to have to come down the pit lane. And if Apollo Hyde is also going to have to come down as well. Again, these guys are making about taking about 2 or 3 seconds of gas. Stallhood going to come down the pit lane this time by. He will not. 3 laps to go. And we're at the point of no return. No more caution flags. We have a driver going to the grandstands. It's not even going to warrant any sort of recognition. Stallhood just trying to pedal that automobile around. Right now running at minimal throttle. Through the hairpin through the bus stop he goes, and Hyde that last time by 11 seconds off the pace. Focusato was 32 seconds off the pace, so Focusato losing a little bit of time to the leader, but Focusato now up in 4th as I believe we had, Ike Durbin came down the pit lane to top off on fuel as well. Stallhood down through the hairpin. Hyde not far behind in the 11. And you can hear Hyde, she is running flat out going through the section of this course. Stallhood is out of the infield, and Hyde still hot on his heels, 11 seconds behind that number 7. Will Stallhood come down the pit lane this time by? Time will only tell as we'll come around to 2 laps to go. Stallhood, I think he's just trying to get as much of a lead as he can, and here he comes, the race leader coming down with 2 laps remaining. Stallhood will come down and have to pit for fuel. It's Apollo Hyde looking for the spin and win in the 100. She will remain on track, and she will take 2 laps to go in that Orange Juice 100 machine. Corbin Wentz also coming down the pit lane. Tyler Stallhood taking as much of his fuel as he can. Just a splash in that 7. He is out and away. Where will Focusato come back over? And Focusato, oh yeah, that's 7. Stallhood is going to come out in front of Focusato. So Stallhood, if something happens on that 100 of Apollo Hyde, if she's not able to make it another lap and a half on gas, I think Tyler Stallhood is in a really good spot to potentially take this race win away from Apollo Hyde. Again, Hyde, that last time by, had a 7-second lead on the 7, but you can hear her not even touching the throttle going down the downhill, and Stallhood trying to abuse those tires as much as he can, driving around that RCA Subaru with the Subarus running 1-2. Trek Togger has also made his final pit stop. As now up to 3rd is Rafaela Sorensen. Actually, up to 4th is Rafaela Sorensen. Stallhood will remain in that 2nd spot, and Corbin Wentz the only car that is 1 lap down. But this is going to be a very telling final lap here with about 5 miles remaining in this race. Can Apollo Hyde make it to the end on fuel for 3 wins in a row in a dream start to this season? Through turns 17 and 18 for the penultimate time. White flag is in the air one more time around the Pensacola International Speedway for Apollo Hyde. 4 miles remain, and the gap between Hyde and Stallhood is going to be about maybe 12 seconds, I would gauge. We'll see what it is as timing and scoring will reset here on the final lap of the race. It is, in fact, just 7.5 seconds separated in the 100 from the 7. So Stallhood is a-comin'. Hyde very slow. Oh, she is shaking that 100 machine. She might be out of gas. Hyde puttering around the race leader. I think Hyde might be out of fuel. She's got it back going. Hyde able to get that 100 machine refired. Wentz is going to stay out of the way of the 7. She's turned on that reserve cell. Now, oh, she might be out of gas entirely. Nah, she was just stepping on the clutch, going down the downhill, going through the hairpin for the final time. Stallhood, he's going to be right on the rear end of this 100 machine. This is going to come right down to the wire. Fuel strategy, always a show here in the Fuel Racing League, and Apollo Hyde just trying to gun it to the end, but Tyler Stallhood, he might be within drafting range of the 100. Does Apollo Hyde have enough gas to make it to the end through turns 17 and 18? Stallhood have maybe one more lap. He might be able to catch up to the 100, and that 100 machine is purring. Or is she? Oh, it might be close. Here comes Tyler Stallhood, and the last lap on the straightaway pass. Unbelievable. Apollo Hyde pulls a Dale Jr. in 2011. And Tyler Stallhood on the final couple hundred yards steals it to win the Thrustmaster 160K. Wow. We talked about if Apollo Hyde, if Tyler Stallhood had maybe one more lap and Hyde thought she had saved enough fuel. But Tyler Stallhood pitting with 2 laps to go, just a splash of gas to the end. And he might be out of fuel as well. How about that? Emmy Schizzato with a 3rd place run in the 97. That'll complete your podium, and that's heartbreaking. That's gut-wrenching for Apollo Hyde, who is just a couple hundred yards away from getting this race win for 3 wins in a row, but the math just coming up a smidge short. Vincenzo Focasato will go up to 4th. And you know what? It's not the spin and win, it's the flip and win for Tyler Stallhood as he gets the win in round number 3. And he's just trying to putter around as he is officially out of fuel, as we'll take a look at your official standings. Tyler Stallhood gets the job done on a fantastic fuel mileage race. Apollo Hyde, like we said, a couple 100ths of a second off of the numbers, and she will end up finishing in 2nd. Emmy Schizzato will get 3rd. Vincenzo Focasato was 4th, and Rafaela Sorensen will get a top 5 finish. Ike Durbin, RJ Bishop, Drew Fast, Trek Togger, Rich Roy, Kenny Campos will round out your top 11, with Corbin Wentz being the last car on track 2 laps down. Blake Warren and Crystal Bennett will round out the 14-car field here after a wild one. Not as wild as we saw at Atlanta a week ago, but just as wild in terms of the fuel strategy here in Pensacola, as Tyler Stallhood is going to get his first Fuel Grand National win here on the North American Sim Racing Network. So 2 Subarus lined up with one another, and fuel strategy comes into play here once again. We'll go ahead and take things downstairs to our post-race show with our post-race interviews coming up with our top 3 finishers. Tyler Stallhood, Apollo Hyde, and Emmy Schizzato will be here on the NASRN airwaves in just a couple of moments, but we'll go ahead and get that set up here. But Tyler Stallhood, your winner of the Thrustmaster 160K. After a fantastic fuel mileage finish at the Pensacola International Speedway, we are back here for post-race interviews after the Thrustmaster 160K. And it was certainly a race of all time. Fuel strategy came in, and with only just a handful of seconds to go in the race, only a little bit of pavement to go in the race, Tyler Stolhood was able to get the win away from Apollo Hyde. But we've got our full podium to interview here as Emi Schizzato was able to snooker a third place finish away from that 37 of Vincenzo Focasato.
User was moved to your channel.
And we'll bring in the driver of the number 97 GE Ford Mustang, Emi Schizzato. Here, you got a copy of us in the broadcast booth?
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
Well, you had an eventful race, all things considered, with a very interesting strategy call at the end there. But going into this race, this was the site of your only win in the Grand National Series in the last couple of months. You got the win here in the Clash a couple of months ago in that battle with RJ Bishop. What was the mindset coming into today, knowing that this was the site of your last win and that you're so really well at this racetrack?
Well, I just came here with the thought of doing the same thing as we did at the Clash. We played the strategy really well there. And we didn't hear really. I really came here with the thought. Yeah, I can get a top 5. I can be a factor here in this race. It's the only track I got 100% podium rate in fuel. But yeah, I thought we were going to be a. I thought it was going to be a factor. My setup was really good, and yeah, I just came here with the thought we can win this, and yeah, I wanted to win, but ultimately came up short.
Yeah, and it was a really good battle back and forth between you and Tyler Stolhood in the closing stages of that race, but it really came down to pit strategy. We went back and saw that you took a full 4-tire pit stop. What went into that strategy call, and is there anything that you wish you had done differently?
I forgot that that this track isn't really harsh on the tires, and I thought tire was gonna take 4 tires as well. And yeah, I forgot pre-race. Everyone's talking about how this track doesn't eat up your tires, and I just kind of forgot about that. But yeah, I think if I took fuel only, I could have been a factor for the win. But yeah, you live and learn. You learn. I wanted to win, but I'm really happy to be running well the last 2 weeks. Be running well at a speedway last week, Atlanta, and to be running well here at a road course. My specialty. The most important thing for me is to be running well. How talented the grid is in the Grand National Series. Yeah, I wish I didn't take tires. But yeah, that's what I wish I could have done differently. But I'm happy nonetheless. It's a podium. It's a good finish.
Yeah,
it's a good point stay.
Solid points day for you guys. You and Rafaela were running really well together throughout this entire race. But looking ahead to Hanford next week, it's another very technical track that not a whole lot of drivers have gotten a whole lot of experience of. What are you looking for to try to take advantage of Hanford next week and the real tricky triangle compared to the Pocono Raceway?
Yeah, it's a pretty different track. I didn't really get to do many laps here, but I did like 2-3 laps. But it's gonna be really tricky since you're gonna have to, the start finish line is like right before turn 1.
It's like
So
Talladega.
yeah, so you're gonna have to take a little care when fighting for the lead and stuff like that, when qualifying as well. But it's a short track. I think I can, maybe get a good setup for a short track. I run well on short tracks as well. Some short tracks are, I think, Richmond Sportsman. Last fall, I was running well. Unfortunately, came up short with a spin in the final stages of the race. But I think I can. We can maybe get a top 10. I think the most important thing is learn how to set up our cars properly. And yeah, I mean, it's just we gotta just learn the track and see what we can do there.
Well, it's certainly going to be a fun week, and hey, nobody's going to really take away that third place finish from you here tonight at your best track statistically. But before we let you go, Emmy, we'll give you the floor to thank any sponsors you want. If there's anybody you want to shout out here on the ASRN, the floor is yours for as long as you want.
I gotta thank firstly my girlfriend Rafaela. She's great as always. We had the idea of running the Chip Ganassi throwback for this race. It's kind of, since it's in Florida, same city as Daytona. We'll also thank for performance for having a great engine, a great car for racing nowadays. And I'll also thank Target and GE for sponsoring the car today. And yeah, I think that's all.
Well, congratulations on a third place run at your best statistical track, and we'll see you next week out in California, out in Hanford.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, sir.
User was moved out of your
That
channel.
was Emi Schizzato, driver of the number 97 GE Target Ford Mustang, a P3 finisher here this afternoon, and we'll get a look at just how close this finish was between Emi Schizzato and Vincenzo Focusato. As Focusato was sputtering a little bit, coming to the line, and Schizzato down to the inside, got enough of a run, and right there, that's the gap between podium finish and just finishing in fourth. But a great run nonetheless for Emmy, and we'll go ahead and get things queued up with Apollo Hyde here in just a couple of moments. But a great run for Emmy, all things considered. Apollo Hyde, however, was just a handful of yards, about maybe 500 yards away from winning this race. We'll bring her into here next. Right here, actually, no, we're gonna go ahead and restart this. Get this recalibrated, I should say. Hyde was leading at the white flag lap. Trying to get things back going here, and I believe we should. We're going back going, and we should be good to go.
User was moved to your channel.
We bring in our second place driver of the night, driver of the number 100 Orange Juice Subaru, Miss Apollo Hyde. You got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
I certainly do.
Well, it looked like you were about maybe 300 or 400 yards away from bowling a turkey to start off the season, but the math, unfortunately, just coming up a little bit short. You're able to cross the line in that second spot to still have a solid average finish of 1.3 over the first couple of races, but overall, second place run for you tonight, and take us through what was it turned out to be a very wild and topsy-turvy race for you tonight, Apollo.
Yeah, just a wild and topsy-turvy race all throughout. The top three favorites all ran into issues at some point in the race. It was just really, really rough, to say the least, for all the top three drivers. I blew fourth gear, RJ blew second gear, and Drew literally wrecked right in front of me. So it was a trifecta of madness. And on that last run there with 12 laps, I knew that the only chance I had of having any sort of appreciable finish in this race was to just stay out and not pit on that last run. I knew I could probably stretch it 12 laps. It was going to be hard to do, and I wasn't quite there. I ran out. I ran out of fuel about a quarter mile earlier than I would have liked. But yeah, this Subaru BRZ was super fast. We were definitely the best car through Sector 2. And I felt like that if we ran the race straight up, I think we could have had a good shot at winning this race. Just unfortunately, the cards didn't quite pan out for us. We didn't catch the same luck bug that we got at Atlanta.
Yeah, and that was another last lap. It's two straight weeks, in fact. We had a last lap pass for the race win, but, you know, we know that you're one of the best drivers in fuel when it comes to fuel strategy, funny enough. And, you know, at a very technical road course like this, how hard is it to really know when to, you know, begin your fuel strategy and know what spots on the course to know when to punch in the clutch, know when to really miss your marks a little bit, know when to like drag back a little bit.
Yeah, it gets even harder when you don't have fourth gear. I'll tell you that. It gets a lot harder because now you're going a good 30 seconds trying to go as fast as you can because you can only go 188 miles an hour. Like there's no fuel saving down the long straightaway as opposed to Drew, who was able to fuel save all the way down the straightaway and still make it to the end. He was able to not punch it down the front straightaway in fourth gear, and that was really helpful to him. But for me, basically, I was punching the clutch in anytime that I was able to get off of the throttle, and it isn't quite that easy because I'm a driver that really relies on high engine RPMs to slow the car down under braking. I've always been taught engine braking is the best way to slow the car down, and I think it works very well in this game. It's just you lose all of that when you punch in the clutch. So you have to really know when can I punch in the clutch and be able to save enough speed to be able to actually save that fuel and coast through the corner. It's a very delicate balance, and it's not something that you figure out right away. It was tough trying to figure that out while basically getting hosed on fuel economy down the front straightaway every single lap.
Yeah, and then that last little bit where you saw Tyler Stallhood coming through your rear view mirror, did you kind of feel a little bit like Dale Jr. in 2011 in the Coke 600?
Uh, I felt like I felt like Kyle Busch at that one Auto Club race when he ended up blowing that tire. His teammate passed him, ran out of gas, and then someone else passed him. That's what I felt like to me, honestly.
Yeah, the classic, what was that, 2017 Auto Club, I think, in the Xfinity Series, where
Yep.
but back before we in America hated Austin Dillon, taking that win away from Kyle Busch and Daniel Suarez, who also ran out of fuel in a very chaotic last lap back then. But looking ahead to what's going to be a very chaotic race by the looks of it next week at the Hanford Motorsports Park. Great track designed and built from scratch there by Nicky Conti. It's a little bit of if Pocono and Talladega shacked up, had a baby, and that's kind of the result. So what are your expectations next week and what's looking to be a technical but fun Hanford race?
Yeah, so we had a very similar, I shouldn't necessarily say very similar, but we had a similar track last year to this at the Walt Disney World Speedway. And I had a very, very fast car for that race. It was just unfortunate that I was unable to enter that event, but we were very, very, very fast in testing, and we are typically very good at these flat type of racetracks. And if this thing races anything like Walt Disney World, I feel like that we are going to be in for a very good race here at Marvelous.
Well, it's definitely going to be a great race next year or next week, and it's going to be a great rest of the season for you. As didn't not necessarily get the win tonight, but you're still going to come out of here with retaining the points lead. But before we let you go, Apollo, you know the drill. If there's anybody you want to shout out here on the NES Arena, if there's any sponsors you want to thank, the floor is yours.
I don't have anything too special this week. Just we'll keep trucking along, and we'll look forward to the month of March here with Hanford coming up, and we'll see what comes along in month of March. Drink orange juice.
Definitely will. I'll probably end up drinking some orange juice after this. A very delicious looking livery for you tonight. Taking it to P2 on fuel mileage. Congratulations, Apollo.
Thank you. Bye.
User was moved out of your
That was
channel.
Apollo High, driver of the number 100 Orange Juice, the 100% Orange Juice Subaru from Marvelous Racing. Just barely losing out on fuel mileage, but the driver that ended up on the right side of fuel mileage.
User
So we
was
bring
moved
him
to your
into the
channel.
broadcast booth here. Driver of the number 7 RCA Subaru, Mr. Tyler Stallhood, your winner. Got a copy of us in the broadcast booth?
I do, Trey.
Well, that looked like it was going to be a absolute dogfight between you and Emmy Schizzato before Emmy fell a little bit off strategy, and it came down to between you and Apollo Hyde. It was fuel saving, and going into, we were peeking a little bit at your broadcast here on our own broadcast. We knew that you were a little bit short. You were talking about it right as you were coming, right as we're coming out into the, or out of the race broadcast and into the post-race commentary. But you absolutely hit the pit lane like butter. And really, that's really where we said, okay, Stallhood is going to have a really good shot at this race win. So how really was it racing out there in those final 2 laps?
That was something, Trey. And I think my execution started on lap 15. That's when I made the move to go from behind Drew, in between Apollo and Drew, to the lead, or not to the lead. I think that was for second. And then I just kind of, it might have looked like I was just cruising behind Emmy, but I was chasing her down. I was trying everything I could to get there.
We saw we were on board with you.
I knew my only choice was to outsmart her on pit road, so I was going back and forth. The game was recommending, sorry, the sin, a nickel in a swear jar for the sin. The sim was recommending a full can. So I told my crew chief we need to find a little more time on pit road. So I was going back and forth between a half can and a splash. And I was doing some math, and I had 4 gallons in my tank at the time, and I had 2 laps of fuel. I was like, okay, so that roughly means that I get a half a lap for a gallon. A half can is 5.5 gallons. A splash is like 2 gallons, 2 or 3 gallons. I can get it. I can get it done on just one splash. I can do it. And boy, I
was
needed to
kinda
execute
close.
pit road. I needed to execute pit road. I was 71 when my splitter hit pit road. And by the time my transponder got to pit road, I was going 70. Got in and out of my stall with the quickness, and then Apollo was the only obstacle. And when I came out of pits, Apollo was going through it was headed toward the Apollo was headed towards the bus stop, and I was watching the seconds just fall off of his lead, and I was like, okay, I might actually have something here unless he's outsmarting me right now, giving me false hope. There was a lap car. I think it was Corbin.
It was
Yeah,
Corbin once.
So I got by Corbin really easily. I thanked him in real time. So once I got through the chicane, that was where I was making up all my time tonight. I was throwing it all in there in the chicane. I thought that I had something to pass Apollo on the speedway section at speed, and then I realized that I was actually only going 183 trying to catch Apollo because I was already on low fuel pressure, running out of fuel about 2 car lengths from the start finish line. So we had a Subaru 1-2 finish, and we were both out of fuel.
Yeah, hey, you know what? It makes sense that a race that's presented by the Fuel Racing League comes down to fuel mileage. But it's not often that we get to say that you had a flip and win. We sometimes say the spin and win, but you
It's
went
true.
upside down on that second caution flag. So what was
I
really
was.
the mindset coming out of there? All right, just one little barrel roll, everything's all right, and you guys just went to work, right?
You had to remind me there because I completely forgot that I was absolutely on my lid at one point. You know, the pit stop was only 15.2 seconds to fix all that damage and put
That
4
is
tires and
crazy.
fuel in it. So it's like it didn't even happen. I must have just barely grazed the roof rails or something.
Something like that. It was almost as graceful as Kenny Campos's weight shift crash earlier in the race. That was I don't know if you went
Heard
back and
about
saw
that.
that. That was beautiful.
I didn't see it, but I heard about it, and I meant to go back and look at it.
That shocked me on the replay, but
But I just gotta tell you, it feels so good to actually be back in victory lane in this series. You know, we had Zach here, and he was an impossible force to beat. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot from watching Zach, from listening to him, kind of belly aching and moaning about how hard it was to race against him, and he would take the high road and give me some pointers and um, just I mean, this isn't a true road course. I know that. I'm not I'm not in any kind of disillusion here, but
it certainly
there
races
there
like a
are some
traditional road course, though.
there it races like one. You have to play smarts like one, and there are some technical sections, but most of it was all just about maintaining momentum. That's why the chicane. I put so much emphasis on the chicane because how you get out of that chicane sets you up for how fast you're going to be at the start finish line, all the way into turn one. So nailing the chicane really sets you up for a good lap. So no, I may have been throwing it in too hard every single lap. I also noticed that coming out of the bus stop, I was the only one taking the kind of line that I was taking, and I tried to learn from the guys that I was watching in practice how to take their line, and I just couldn't. I couldn't do what they were doing and maintain any kind of speed. So I kept swinging way wide and then cutting the corner as close as I could cut it there. In second gear, and I was actually using the same setup that we ran here at the exhibition. It was the fixed setup, the default setup. Tried to put a lot of time and effort into a faster setup. Played with some tire pressures, and nothing felt right. I just went back to the default.
Yeah, and sometimes just going right back to the drawing board and going back to stock typically works, and definitely worked out for you here tonight. But looking ahead to next week's race at Hanford, I was talking a little bit with Apollo before we brought you into here, how based on looks alone, it looks a lot like it might race a lot like the Walt Disney World Speedway, but there's a lot of banking, especially in that opening corner. It's a lot more bank than Walt Disney World is. Of course, it's if Pocono and Talladega shacked up and had a baby, and that was the offspring. Fantastic track designed by Nicky Conti that we'll be going to. But what are your expectations trying to go for 2 in a row next week?
I have no expectations. I am completely unfamiliar with that particular track. I know Nikki's really proud of the work that she's put into that, so I wanted to, of course, um, support Nikki, and she's been asking for the track to be on the GNS schedule for quite a while. So I finally folded. It also helped that she put forward some sponsorship efforts. Actually, because of the remote nature of our interview here, I'm actually on the track, putting in a little bit of sightseeing because I've actually
Grind
never
never
set foot
stops.
on this track before. But yeah, it's got some Walt Disney vibes. Little baby Pocono, maybe some Phoenix DNA in there somewhere. Yeah. So I think we'll have a good show for you next week. It's going to be a little bit of a surprise for everybody, I think. Aside from the couple people who have raced on this over DFR and places before.
Well, it's
So
definitely it's definitely looked like it's going to be one heck of a race next week, and of course Nikki Conti again, the amount of work that she's put into that track, it's going to be fun. I can't wait to see how she's going to race at a track that she's got some insider information about, but it's going to be fun. But before we'll let you go, we'll give you the floor to thank any sponsors you want. If there's anybody you want to shout out here on the NASRN for our race winner tonight, the floor is yours.
yeah, and also anytime the start finish line is right there at the entrance of turn one, you know you're in for a treat. But yeah, I got to thank RCA for jumping back on board this year. That was a fun partnership. I've used that at a few places. Made my re-debut at USORL in their iRacing series, rocking RCA Records label. So got to put credit where credit's due. love RCA Records and everything they're doing. They got some good artists signed. So check them out if you haven't already. They have a playlist on Spotify and Apple Music. All the other places you listen to your music. Subaru, of course, for the 1-2 finish. I'm sure they're signing a lot more checks in the coming weeks. Maybe some more Subaru partners jumping in, trying to steal some of the magic. Always welcome to have more people running the Subaru flag for us. Gotta make our old Travis Pastrana idol happy, right?
Definitely do.
And again, every time I get on these broadcasts, I always thank everybody in Fuel for making it what it is, coming out and having fun. Remarkably good race tonight, I think. Everybody was really patient getting into turn one. I think there was only one, from my point of view, there was only one instance where somebody may have done a little dirty in turn one. I think everybody, for the most part, got through there pretty clean. The bus stop, I don't think anybody was just being egregious there. That's a tough place to get woed down, and there's not really a reference point for braking there.
Mhm.
So, but everybody kept a good spirit about it. A couple people had some issues with their graphics, so we tried to help them out with their laps and things when that happened. But overall, I love coming back to this track. It played out well in the exhibition. We tested out some things like racing back to the caution. That's something that we've adopted for all road courses, thanks to the exhibition we had here, and it worked out really well. I think it keeps the race going along at a more productive pace.
It definitely does, and it was certainly very productive here tonight.
Yeah, and I just appreciate everybody for being willing to try things like that and throw new rules in there. And sometimes we forget that we actually have a rule in the book already for things that come up. Like last week, we had a question about minimum speed and why is there not a rule for minimum speed? Well, it turns out there was. We just weren't enforcing it. So we've gone and kind of did some soul searching and held some people accountable and reminded some people about the rules. And for the most part, people know when their night's not going according to plan, and they'd be better off watching other people how they're handling the track and getting some offline practice than staying in harm's way and holding up the means of production. So for the most part, thank you everybody for good racecraft that we've been putting on at Fuel, the good decision making, always thinking about ways to improve the product and make it a welcome and fun place for people. Really means a lot to be surrounded by such good people at Fuel.
It definitely does. And again, link for the Fuel Discord server down in the description box below the stream. Everybody of any level of talent is welcome here in the Fuel Racing League, and it is such a great place. It's such a great environment that you and Apollo and Ike and everybody have been really able to put together.
Yeah, thank you, and of course, Trey, thank you for everything you do, putting together a broadcast package for us every week. I know it's tireless work, especially when some people get their PNG for their number to you a little bit late, or completely forget to ping you with which one they're running for that night, and you have to do some investigative work. So I appreciate everything you do.
It's all perfectly fine. It's the real troubles thing with me was trying to come back from calling a junior hockey game earlier and just trying to fly up from Trenton, but it was certainly a great broadcast tonight. A couple of really great broadcasts to start the season off. And hey, we're just getting started. But thank you all. Thank you, Tyler, for coming in here for the post-race interview. Congratulations on getting your win here in the Thrustmaster 160K. We'll let you go celebrate.
Thank you, Trey. Have a good night, folks.
User left your channel.
That was Tyler Stallhood, driver of the number 7 RCA Subaru, getting the job done here at the Pensacola International Speedway. And we'll go ahead and take a look one more time at this finish, at just how close it was between Paulo Hyde and Tyler Stallhood. There you can see Hyde running out of fuel, going right into turn number 4. Here comes Stallhood, blitzing past the 100. And getting the race win in that RCA number 7 as he runs out of fuel himself. And that will do it here for tonight's broadcast. And a big thank you once again to everybody for coming out and supporting all these broadcasts. Before we get underway for the last time, we'll go ahead and go through all 14 cars where they finished. Of course, Tyler Stallhood, Apollo Hyde, and Emmy Schizzato were your podium. Stallhood winning by a final margin of 0.895 seconds, so 9/10 of a second over Apollo Hyde. Vincenzo Focusato, Rafaela Sorensen rounding out the top 5. Ike Durbin, R.J. Bishop, Drew Fast, Trek Togger, and Rich Roy rounding out the top 10, so a nice 8th place finish for your pole sitter. Kenny Campos was the final car on the lead lap. Corbin Once was the only car that was off the lead lap still in the race. 2 retirees from earlier, Blake Warren finished 13th, and Crystal Bennett rounded out the 14-car field here at the Pensacola International Speedway. But like we said, we are just getting things started here, and the Fuel Grand National Series. Unfortunately our audio isn't necessarily working. We'll see if we can get the outro working here in just a moment. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to get our outro music getting going here, but got race number 4 coming up next week as we enter the month of March at the Hanford Motor Speedway, a great, fantastic facility designed by Nicky Conti. It's going to be a fun one out there at the out west in Hanford, California. And of course, that's only race number 4, the 11 race slate that we've gone all season long. We've got so many other tracks that we are getting ready to go to. But on behalf of Tyler Stallhood and everybody at the Fuel Racing League, that's going to do it for tonight's broadcast. Congratulations once again to Tyler Stallhood for winning the Thrustmaster 160K presented by the Fuel Racing League. We'll see you guys next week at the Hanford Motor Speedway for race number 4 of the season. Of course, all broadcasts here on every single one of these races broadcast on your home for the Fuel Racing League, the North American Sim Racing Network. But on behalf of everybody at the Fuel Racing League and at the North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright, saying so long from Pensacola, Florida, as we conclude tonight's broadcast of the Fuel Grand National Series. Race number 3 is in the books. We'll see you all next week for race number 4. Have a great evening, folks, and enjoy your weekend.